Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name is John Anthony Chihawk Soltero of Antihero Brand Press and AHB Kids, and I am here to give you as much of a spoiler-free review of Avengers Infinity War as I possibly can. My background, other than writing and drawing comic books, is in art and design and animation, and part of the creative process that we would go through during critiques was you couldn't just say I like it, I don't like it. You had to give facts as to why the piece worked or didn't work. Was the font right? Was the color scheme right? Was the juxtaposition correct? Did the animation move too fast? Did it look wonky? Like, did it just not convey the energy that you were going along with the voice track? So I'm gonna try to be as non-emotional as possible. First and foremost, and this is something that has been brought to the attention of many people with pictures and memes and stuff, is Thanos himself in this movie. Now, he doesn't wear the helmet for like 95 to 99% of the movie. The movie is about 2.5 to 2 hours and 40 minutes long. And he takes the helmet off very, very early on. There are some flashback scenes where I believe he still has the helmet on, but that's neither here nor there. It does make his head and his anatomy look very strange. However, Thanos in the movie is built like a tree trunk. He's very up and down. He doesn't have like a V shape like a bodybuilder with the lat muscles coming out of the sides. Now, even if you're not V-shaped with your latissimus muscles coming out of the sides, your arms don't sit into your shoulders or into your body like this. That's not a comfortable position. Your arms are going to sit out. I don't have especially big lat muscles, but even my arms don't sit like that. If I do this, I'm holding them in place, and that's not a comfortable position. You see how they just kind of pop back out a little bit? So that's kind of my beef with the cinematic, or at least with the CGI anatomy. Cinematically, it was a beautiful movie. There was a lot of great visuals. The CGI worlds, this may have been one of the most, probably not the most, but one of the most CGI'd movies of all time, just based on the length and the amount of characters and the action you're doing. So that plays a huge, huge role into what's going on. I think the animators should be, commended for the work that they did for such a long feature. And, we're seeing more and more superhero movies that are not, they're moving away from the practical effects, and they're not staying with, traditional. They're going all CGI because it's cheaper, or it's faster, or, you don't have to like, oh crap, we wasted, this prosthetic and now it's ruined and now we have to do something else. We can just put like a green mask on the side of your face and then you can walk around, kind of thing. That being said, I do believe the movie was too long. And here's why I say that. These are theater released movies. And a movie that was released within the last 10 years, in the last 5 years actually, that did not follow the rule of being 2.5 hours to 3 hours long and working perfectly fine for telling a cohesive beginning, middle, and end story. And if there's never a sequel made to it, if there's never a prequel made to it, if there's never anything else done in the universe, it can stand alone just fine by itself, and that is the movie Dredd. It's 96 minutes long. It tells a perfectly cohesive story. I haven't heard anything about another movie being made, but then again, I'm also not on the internet looking up scoops and stuff like that. Journalism is not my game. I create. So these movies are just getting too long for me. If you're in the theater, I don't buy snacks and popcorn just because I'm not going to spend that kind of money. I also don't drink soda anymore. And so, like, I just go with my bottle of water. But, even after a 2.5 hour long movie, this thing is empty and I have to go to the bathroom. And when you're doing a movie that's that long, you're putting intricate plot points at every conceivable point in the movie, and it's hurting the continuity because if you blink, if like it gets loud in the theater, if you get distracted, if you have to go to the bathroom, you miss an important part and you have to come back and, piece that together. So that doesn't work either. The sheer number of characters that they're putting into this, I get it's a 2-part sprawling epic. Sorry if some of you didn't know there's another part to this coming out next year, the fifth Avengers movie, or sorry, the fourth Avengers movie, because Civil War was a Captain America movie, not an Avengers movie, even though it was an Avengers movie and not a Captain America movie. So a lot of the plot points are going to carry over to the fourth movie, which also kind of makes problematic in the ending of this movie, which I'm going to do my best not to get into. Also positive. As I was saying, the cinematics were good, the action was good. I feel the characterizations of the characters carried over, and I think, bringing in Guardians and having them interact with some of the Avengers, not all of them, obviously, but some of the Avengers, you got a good mix of these different personalities working. That being said, there are entirely too many characters in this movie, and that takes away from, the focal point of the movie. My other big problems with any comic book movie are the boss fight. So yeah, the boss fight. This is something that has really only been an issue in the MCU movies, not the Fox movies, not the X-Men movies, not the Spider-Man movies, and not the solo MCU movies. So what I mean by the boss fight is when they're fighting Thanos, when they're fighting Ultron in Age of Ultron, when they're fighting, who else have they fought? When the Guardians are fighting, Ronan the Accuser at the end of the first Guardians movie, the boss fight brings about 5, 6, 7, Lord knows how many characters, fighting one villain. Now, it makes the villain look way too strong if you have 7 or 8 people dogpiling on top of that villain, and it makes the heroes look incredibly weak. However, the dichotomy of that is the villain should be that strong. That's Earth's mightiest heroes come together. These are the characters that come together to fight the threat that no one hero can do themselves. That was the purpose of the Avengers. That's the purpose of the Justice League. And, to fight against that and to say, well, we're just going to throw like a billion Ultrons that are like one hit kill, one hit kill, one hit kill, and then all these Chitauri soldiers and these big whale things that are going through one hit kills left and right. It becomes a cluster F. And to me, cinematically, maybe that looks great, but story-wise, it's problematic because you're not getting at them fighting Loki. You're not getting at them fighting Ronan. You're not getting at them fighting Thanos. Actually, Guardians of the Galaxy was handled very, very well because it was all the characters fighting against Ronan specifically, whereas the Nova Corps was fighting against all the other ships coming in. The Guardians themselves were fighting the one person. So that's an area where it worked. But now you're bringing in, Thanos is coming and he's going to destroy everything and we all need to regroup and we need to get together and there's like 50 of us. And then all of a sudden, same thing. Thousands of characters, thousands of villain characters just show up out of nowhere and they're all getting mowed down with one hit kills. And Marvel has done that with their big team movies. Every single Avengers movie has ended that same way with this big kind of cluster F of a scene where you don't really get that satisfying fight with the main bad boss. Like you get like 1 or 2 people who like end up going up against them. And I have a feeling that in the second part of this movie next year, the same thing is going to happen. It's not going to be all the Avengers fighting Thanos. It's going to be like these peripheral guys are over here, these peripheral characters are over here, and then it's going to be 2, maybe 3 central characters who are the most important in the cinematic universe, if you haven't already picked up on that, are going to be the ones who actually stop Thanos or die trying to fight Thanos. I don't want to give away too much. The other big problem with the Marvel Cinematic Universe that's sprawled over into DC a little bit, the comedy beats. With an action blockbuster, there's a formula that has worked for 30 years now. Every page of script is 1 minute of on-screen time, and with a blockbuster, every 10 pages you have an action beat. That means a sprawling action scene that takes a few minutes. And you have so you have this pacing, like every 10 minutes to keep the fans engaged. Because let's be honest, like these movies are not going to be winning awards for the greatest screenplay ever written. They're not going to be compared to Citizen Kane. They're not going to be the next Annie Hall by any stretch of the imagination. These are fun popcorn movies. These are movies you go to see to like just watch stuff blow up, and some people die and some people survive, like to play that game in your head kind of thing. They're not going to win awards for that. They might win for best editing, best cinematography, best sound. If they start a best CGI category, that's not best animated feature, maybe. But the comedy beats, to me, are very problematic. Avengers Infinity War is a very dark movie. Thor Ragnarok, which was the movie other than Black Panther that pretty much preceded Avengers Infinity War, very dark movie as well. It had a hopeful ending to it, but it was also a very dark movie too. So adding that comedy beat that interferes with the action and the seriousness of that moment. Here's my comparison, and my apologies if this is a spoiler for you, but this is a 40-something-year-old movie, so if you are not even 40 years, but it's close to 40, if you haven't seen it, shame on you. One of the most famous scenes in cinema and sci-fi and pop culture and fandom, when Darth Vader reveals to Luke Skywalker that he is Luke's father. The Marvel Cinematic Universe thing to do would have been that Luke pops his hand back out of the sleeve, like he never really got his hand cut off, and he's just like, I don't really have my hand cut off, and then he gives Vader the finger, or he makes a fart joke, or a dick and fart joke, or something like that. That's essentially what Marvel is doing with these inappropriate comedy beats, to the level of seriousness of the movie itself, and the level of seriousness to the specific scene. And I take storytelling pretty seriously, and I also, understand that you have to have the ups and the downs. That's the balance. But if you're having this really serious moment, and then all of a sudden in the middle of it, like you just see naked guy go running across the screen, you're like, why did they do that? There was like, why? Was that to like take away some of the tension? Because we're supposed to run the gamut of emotions, because that's suspension of disbelief, and that's why you go to the movies or read a comic book or watch a television series. They don't do that in The Walking Dead. That entire show is dark. I can't recall, I've watched 5 or 6 seasons now, I can't recall like one comedy beat in that entire series, but, maybe I missed it. So those are my thoughts on this. Also, just keep in mind that there's a lot more to come with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's so many other movies that have already been announced. So if you go and see the movie and you have questions about the end, just keep in mind that there's other movies for all these other characters coming out, and that there's another part to this movie coming out next year. Stay tuned all the way through the credits, because there is a post-credit scene, like happens after the credits finish rolling. And again, just have fun with it. Again, this is coming from somebody who started out a Marvel guy and would have killed to see this movie 20 years ago, but now is, I'm different, and I like DC a little bit more, and kind of don't respect Marvel for a lot of their other practices. So my lenses are jaded in how I'm seeing this, and I kind of don't feel like they're giving a lot of respect to me as a comic book fan for, almost 30 years, and being a creator myself, or the retailers, or, like, if less than 1% of the viewers who are not already comic book readers go to a comic book store to pick up Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity War, they're probably never going to go back to that store, or any comic book store for that matter, because the movie and the comics are two completely different media, and you need to remember that. This is also my plea with Hollywood, with, video game makers, with, everybody who's making money off of comics by, transitioning it to another media. Show some respect for the media that came first. Acknowledge the creators who created those storylines that you're adapting from, the characters that you're augmenting and changing, but just show some love because as much as excuse me, Avengers is going to make, billions of dollars. Black Panther made $1 billion. Um, Comic books are still a dirty little secret in this world, and they're not taken seriously. And that's something that we need to change. It's we're producing these sprawling movies that are making so much money and getting so much notoriety, and yet comic books are still kind of over here, and that's a kid thing. And no self-respecting adult reads those, no self-respecting adult works on those. That's a pipe dream. That's something that I take very, very, very seriously, and would like to say hashtag I love comics, or hashtag I love comic books. Once again, hope you enjoyed the review. If not, let me know in the comments. If you'd like me to review something else, please let me know, or if you want to share your thoughts on the movie. Once again, my name is John Anthony Chihak Soltero, Anti-Hero Brand and Anti-Hero Brand Press, and AHB Kids. You can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Antihero Brand, or patreon.com AHB Kids with a Z. I'm also on Coffee. I believe it's just Chihak. Let me know what's going on, and hope you stay tuned to more reviews. Thanks.